Welcome to the Seer Show. Join us as we dive into the dynamic world of health, wellness, mindset, and fitness with the unparalleled guidance of lifelong knowledge seekers, Sifu Rafael and Nikki Gangemi. Sifu and Nikki will unlock groundbreaking insights with extraordinary guests from around the globe. You'll get the latest holistic approaches to well-being with a sharp focus on the powerful connection between mind, body, and soul. Get ready to take the leap. It's time to embrace a brighter and healthier future with us at the Seer Show.
5, 4,
Nikki, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sifu. I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
Exceptional, getting better every day. Just a tiny little bit. That's all that matters, right?
That's what matters. Mm-hmm.
So we have two exceptional guests today, and today we're going to be talking about emotional embodiment and financial freedom.
Whoa.
Two great topics, right?
Two great topics. I can't wait.
Yeah, so let's bring our experts in, and I know I'm going to mess up her name, but let's try it, give it a shot. We have Gao and we have Steve. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Steve.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, yes. So when we consider everything we do in life, it is that emotional balance that we're looking for. And when you talk about financial freedom, Steve, I got to tell you, it is so powerful because we want to have financial freedom yesterday. Right? Would you mind going first, Stephen, and tell us about how important is financial freedom for all of us?
Well, it's you talk about health and well-being and just your state of mind and how you approach life. It's really so much easier when you know that you have a steady stream of income there, a dependable stream of income, one that's not beaten up by the stock market when the stock market crashes. You don't have to lose sleep about things like that. Higher interest rates can be more of a benefit than a disadvantage when you're in that type of a position. It's not an easy, don't misunderstand, it's not, you just can't snap your fingers and be there. It's something that you have to work at, and you have to develop a mindset, and it's kind of the mindset that you use when you apply for a job or you start a career. I mean, what you're looking for is more income, and a lot of people, when they think of their investment portfolios, all of a sudden that idea of a big paycheck or a growing paycheck over the years just totally leaves them, and they start looking at market value as the be all and end all of their experience in the investment world. And you can't spend market value, and it's something that probably isn't taught adequately in schools, and it's certainly not something that's mentioned by the financial community. They want you to focus on the market value of your portfolios and to keep hoping that the market value will continue to go up forever. And of course, that's not something that ever happens. So yeah, it really makes you be able to just go forward with your life and do the things you want to do and say the things you want to say and write what you want to write, because you don't have that thing over your head that's saying, I don't have enough income to pay my bills.
Powerful.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the emotional embodiment, if you don't mind, Gal. If you can share your insights with that.
Yeah, that's a great one, and I'm just gonna put a twist into it a bit. So, how Motsemme is my name, so I love to start with my native greetings, extending that to the audience. So dumelang, dumelang, lokai. And dumela in direct translation means agree. And lokai means where are you? So we are here at the Seer Show. So my question to the audience is, what are you agreeing to when you show up? Even when you hear emotional embodiment and financial freedom, what is it that you're agreeing to and where are you? You know, so talking about the emotional embodiment, when I'm asking, what are you agreeing to and where are you? I'm inviting you to be present with us. Are you fully here with us? Or part of you is still stuck in what happens, should have, shouldn't have? So I'm inviting you to come in. And when you're talking about emotional embodiment, that is being present, no matter what is happening. Because for you to be able to deal with life, for you to be able to relate, for you to make decisions from that empowered space, you get to be present. And being present means being in touch with yourself. And you can't do that if at all you are still holding into what has happened. You can't do that if you do not feel things in your body. You can't do that if at all you are still holding into information. I know that there have been amazing guests here and you know a lot. And what I find is that often people's lives do not transform. People do not connect to their emotions because they are stuck with what they know in the history and they miss on the information that is available in the present moment. So emotional embodiment is key because life is relational. And if you can't relate with yourself, you can't relate with anyone else. You can't relate with any circumstances. You can't lead anyone or get power over any circumstances. So emotional embodiment is key.
I love it.
Oh, wow. I love
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. One of the things that you actually called people out, and I love it because you said, "Where are you? Are you here with us?" And I think that's important because a lot of people will stop by a show, they'll listen, "Oh, it's not for me," and then they move on. Or if they decide that they're going to come to it, engage. And that's the other part that I think you're telling people: don't just be here, but be engaged in it. Put comments in there for us. Let us know what you think, even if you don't agree with us.
Yeah.
That's being present, right? That's a discussion. That's something that we need to be able to do because how valuable, and you kind of said it, is our time, right? When you show up, you're wasting your time if you don't engage.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nikki. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, I love what Gal was saying about being in the present moment. And then I related it to what Steve was saying about being able to sleep at night. And there's so much peace in the present. So when we can practice bringing our attention where we are, there is peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some people don't have peace. And Steve said it. Oh, I'm worried about my bills. I got this. I got that. I got, and all of a sudden people get overwhelmed because they're not taking care. They're not present with their finances. They're not present with the emotional intelligence. They're not present in life. They're hoping that they'll hit the lotto.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be surprised how many people who are pretty much financially independent do that as well, because they're still, they're not satisfied. They want that big chunk. They want to grab onto something even better, even though they're in a good place now.
Yeah. Did you guys know that somebody in New Jersey won the $1.6 billion lotto, or the whatever it is?
I didn't know that. And I live in New Jersey.
Six months ago.
My wife is not going to be happy because she always, when
No,
she hears
Steve,
6 months.
6 months ago. Here's the kicker. They have not claimed it.
Come on.
They have not claimed it. So one of the commentators, I was driving when I heard the news, and one of the commentators says maybe they're putting their ducks in a row. Maybe they're getting all the financial planning,
all the attorneys and stuff like that.
We hope that that's really what's happening. What if they were not present, and they threw away the ticket by accident.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
So
Can you?
what happens to that money, Steve? What do you think happens to that money? All of you,
Well,
what would you do if all of a sudden somebody you got this ticket in the mail and said happy birthday? What would you do?
I'd question it first and think, is this even real?
yeah, it's probably spam. I'm going to throw it away.
Don't do that.
But I,
At
you know,
least check in, right? It doesn't hurt to check.
yeah. Well, what I was actually thinking about what was going to happen with that money if they never did
Correct.
claim it.
I
And
think
what
they have to put it back in the pot. They have to have
well, what
another one.
I was thinking with that amount of money, New Jersey could stop its personal income tax for probably a year or two.
But it wasn't just New Jersey. It was one of these all states type
Oh,
of
it was
thing.
one of
The
the big guys.
mega, I forget which one it
Okay.
is.
All right. So
So it's all the states, right?
back to the original question. I thinking about it, certainly I would certainly invest a whole bunch of it myself, of
Mhm.
course. But I would probably start giving it away.
Mhm.
I mean, really, and I wouldn't just give it away to my family members, although I would.
Right.
But I've always had this idea. I'm a bottoms up type of guy, you know, and I was thinking that if I had access to that kind of wealth, um, I'd do things like some people in this area have done. Like every Christmas, there's some guy who goes over to, I think it's to Walmart, and he goes and sees they put, they buy things, but they don't pay for them until Christmas, the layaway,
Right.
and they go over to there and they write a check and they pay off the layaway for all these people. Now, don't you
Wow.
think that really means something and would go a long way to help? You don't even have to know these people, but you know that if they're laying it away, so until they can get enough money to pay for their Christmas presents,
Wow.
don't you think something like that would be the way to go? Rather, I don't think I'd give it to the Red Cross or something like that. I wanted to do it. I would do it much more personally. I would do scholarships,
Yes.
educational scholarships, particularly if I could do them directed to the financial area, because there's an awful lot of people out there who get good jobs and make good money, but they don't have any clue what to do with it and how to make it grow and how to make it work for them. That's where I think I would direct.
Mm. Steve,
Nikki, what would you do?
I had a question for Steve, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Before I lose the question, in your experience in working with people, what are maybe 3 habits that you have found, 3 success habits that people have who are financially free? What are they doing that is attributing to that financial freedom?
What are they doing? I don't get into their personal lives so much. So I don't know what their gifting type thing is. I know I always feel that, I don't think of it as giving back. I think of it just as giving.
Well,
You know?
not gifting. I'm sorry. Let me be clear. I wasn't talking about gifting and giving. People who are financially free, what are some habits that they have that attribute to their financial freedom?
Oh, I think it's
Mhm.
the time they spend in their careers and the amount of effort and energy they put in it, the involvement they have. I mean, I've never been a 9 to 5 person. I'm at my desk by 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm out of here after 5. So and sometimes even later, and sometimes I'm on a podcast at 5 in the afternoon, and I still have my work to do after that to do my trading for the next day. But I think it's that, and I work every day. I don't.
By the way, in case you guys were wondering, Steve is retired.
Well,
Oh,
he's a retired guy whose calendar is more full of appointments and interviews and coaching stuff than he ever was, but loving it. Even I mean, I touched more lives in the past year than I was managing money for when I ended my career. I had 145 clients when I quit, and I've already discussed or talked or produced things for that many people. And it's really, really quite a kick, it's just great. And every person you talk to is different. But most of them have that energy that has propelled them. I was talking to a guy yesterday. He and his wife are 45 years old, and they've amassed a fortune. They've been in IT, they've been this, that, and always working and even on the sidelines doing coaching or participating and helping. And now they want to just live their lives and travel. So but that enthusiasm, that dedication. I haven't found anybody who just was sitting there big and round and holding a beer that had family wealth and wasn't doing anything at all, nothing career-wise with their lives. I mean, these are people who really worked hard to get there, and most of them weren't as fortunate as I was growing up to have a pretty much a wealthy family. These people are self-made, most of them. So that's what I've come in contact with, and there are so many of them out there. And the bad news, in my mind, what really something to be done about it, is that most of them rely on people like me to do their investments for them. They have not just coaches, but they have managers. And the way the financial industry is set up with this focus on growth and market value, these people unfortunately get paid on the amount of market value they manage. So it's hard for them to say, hey, and even though they tell you they're doing what's good for the client, if their only thought is it's good for the client if their market value grows, that's really not what's good for the client my age. I mean, who cares how much all this stuff is worth? If I don't have enough income to pay my bills, I'm going to be getting, some of it's going to be depleted, right?
Right.
So that's so we got this dichotomy of intention and need. We got people who have money but have not made it in the financial field, so don't really know how to manage it. And then we got those who are managing it, and they're not interested in creating income for their clients. They're creating wealth for their clients, yes, but income, no. So that's the problem we have, and we need to come up with a way to, if people need income, that's what they should be doing, and they should be getting paid for that, even if it doesn't mean a higher market value. Right, Gal?
I'm also learning from you, even though I did accounting, but yes, I was an accountant before I became the freedom illuminator that I am. So I agree with you. Yeah.
So when we can tie the emotional and the financial aspect to our lives, how can we not get crazy emotional when our finances are not necessarily going the way we want them to? So, for example, does the person who bought that ticket even know that they have that there waiting for them?
Yeah.
And what happens to their emotions if they find out?
If they find it in the pocket,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Nikki.
They gave their coat to a Goodwill.
Right. Or you have a lot of coats in your closet. When my wife goes to the closet sometimes and we're going out and she puts on a coat or she puts on a sweater and she happens to reach in the pocket and she's, oh my God, there's a $10 bill in there. What if she went into her pocket and she found that ticket?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that,
was
Oh my God, I've got this ticket. It's 7 months old. Let me go check the numbers. And it was that ticket.
it
Woof.
was that.
Oh
That
my God.
Steve, that was an episode of The Golden Girls. I don't know if you
It,
saw
it
that.
was. I
They had
never
the
watched.
winning ticket in one of their, I don't know if it was Sophia's pocket, and they gave it away. And then they went to this some kind of a home, and it was the middle of the night, and they were trying to quietly search the pockets of everybody to find that
Oh, jeez.
ticket.
that's a good one. What is
Mhm.
coming to mind actually is a few things, and I'm gonna address it from like when you're talking about emotions, kind of like the expectation is coming more in the forefront where you're doing something, but somehow you are detached from the outcome, but still you expect the positive thing to come from whatever that you did. And it can be an expectation that comes from you've been doing that, and it's kind of like you're not expecting anything, you expecting nothing, so you don't even follow it up or anything because like, oh, I just did it, and you don't care, or you don't, but it's coming from the lack, that scarcity mindset where it's kind of like, I don't expect anything. And another thing again that comes through with even with emotions of how you deal with that, there are people who have money but they're still poor, in the sense of they chase money from the being validated by it. It gives them status, it gives them an identity, and within they are empty. So they are coming from that hollowness of, I don't know who I would be. So still they become slaves to that money. It's the identity, it's everything. And when they lose something, it's kind of like all hell is breaking loose. And often with these people, what I find is that their health pays for that, because even when something is happening, it's kind of like they don't even have time to even sit or connect to themselves because they have to try and get the next thing and all that. So it's coming from the emptiness, that trying to fill a void that they can't fill with money. And then there is also those people who at times they would have a problem with, like, there is that lack, but it's not even theirs. This is why I'm bringing in that generational trauma or imprints that have been inherited. Because you may have the capacity to create, you've been to school, you're working hard, but no matter what you're doing, nothing is coming through because your imprints are those of poverty consciousness. Or maybe you're making money indeed, but you are not holding into it. It comes, another thing breaks the car, breaks the house, something happens, so you get to do something with it. Those are the imprints that we carry. So still there is frustration on both ends, on the sense that I have all this money, but at the same time, because the money validates them. And I always say this, anything that validates you controls you. You do not have the power within you. You are being controlled by anything that validates you, and you can do whatever to get that, which can cost you something. At times, the price for that is higher in the long term because you have not dealt with what is here. You have not connected with yourself and found value within yourself. You are finding value in that. And whenever there is a problem, whether it's economical and all that, it's kind of like your life now is in danger. And your relationship often suffers as well because you are chasing something. And still, somebody who is coming from that poverty consciousness, it's still that grind. But the mind here, it's also, first thing, you are filled with all these worries. You are coming from the worries. You are coming from the lack mindset and all that. This is why somebody can sometimes could be the reason that they buy something, but they are not expecting to win. What are your expectations even when you're making a decision or a choice to do something? Are you really expecting it to work out, or you just doing it for the sake of doing it, which is like hope? And hope is an enemy of greatness. There is a time when we need hope, for instance, when we are beaten down by life. But if you are surviving on hope on a daily basis, at some point it's not gonna help you. It's not gonna elevate you. It's gonna stop you from that greatness when you're coming from that conviction and you embody your emotions. Because when you're talking about emotional embodiment, that is, you have worked on your emotions for you to be easily triggered and react. You respond. You are not suppressing and controlling them so that people can think, that act as if, do they really like it? Did I say something right? You show up being present because there is nothing to prove here or anything. You are showing up, you are present. But if at all you have not dealt with all this stuff, it's always like wearing a mask and you are always afraid, is the mask gonna fall anytime? What is happening? So it affects everything, your finances, because everything's a reflection of who you are. What you create within is affirmed by the external world, so that's my take on the emotions on both sides, whether it's coming from you being validated by that, living for that, but from an empty space, or still striving for something, but because of the imprints that you carry and the scarcity, still there is that grind and all of that, but still you are not fulfilled. You are running after something that is also running away. You're always chasing, which is a battle on its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that always we need to engage with is the internal communication that we always bring forth, or we should bring forth if we're not bringing it forth, right? So consider your finances, consider your emotional intelligence, consider family, consider anything in your life. It all stems from that communication that we have with ourselves, our loved ones, even the people that we work for or that work for us. So for me, it's always about communication. How do we communicate? First to ourselves and then to the outside world. If you guys take a look at this, we're going to talk more about communication.
In a world where words shape destinies and connections forge futures, this November 22nd to the 24th, Speaking Prowess brings you the ultimate hands-on workshop. We have a lineup of some of the most influential communication experts in the industry. These are the voices that will guide you on a journey to enhance your ability to connect, influence, and succeed. Sifu Rafael, master instructor and founder of Speaking Prowess, blends communication and leadership to help you reach your full potential. Richard Walsh brings his strategic and tactical expertise to deliver rapid, lasting results for your business. Dr. Oliver T. Reed, the international multi-best-selling author and motivational speaker, known as the Writing Coach, will help you craft your messages with precision. Jose Escobar, a nationally recognized speaker and leader, will guide you in mastering personal development and leadership skills. This is more than just an event. It's a game-changing, skill-building experience. Walk away with communication prowess that transforms your personal and professional life. Speaking Prowess, where communication becomes your superpower. Reserve your seat now.
So when we think about communication overall, I think that that's exactly what we're talking about. How do you think about your finances? How do you think about your emotional intelligence? How do you even speak to yourself? And I think that when we consider communication, it has to do with every aspect of our lives. That's the one skill that we should all get better at. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, on both the emotional aspect of communication and the financial aspect of communication. Take it away.
Oh, I hope
I
you
love.
guys
Okay,
go.
you go first.
Oh no, please.
Okay.
It's a tough one.
I love communication, because one of the things that I always say, especially when it comes to communication, is before we can even communicate, judgment should be out of place. So when there is judgment, we can't hear what the other one is saying. But when there is no judgment, we can hear each other. That's the first thing. And another thing, again, when we get back to communication, you know, we know that 7% or so in a study that was done of the words that we say is what is effective in the communication, and 38% is tonality and 55% is nonverbal. And that takes us to the energy, takes us to the emotions. As much as we can say something, is our body, our energy in alignment with whatever that we're saying, which now comes the emotions, because at times, because we have not dealt with all this stuff, we may be saying something, but our energy is speaking louder than what we say. So those are the things that we need to take care of. If we're showing up and saying whatever that we're saying, but we have not embodied our emotions. When I'm talking about emotional embodiment, it's bigger than emotional intelligence. Because what I realized that we've been big on emotional intelligence, and people learn emotional intelligence just to control, to manipulate, right?
Mhm.
But our body always gives us our way. Our energy always gets in the way, because when you're saying something and you are not it, people will feel our energy says hi when we open that door before we can say anything. Our emotions get in the way in whatever that we want to do. Somebody may be coming through, and I love this. When you are staying in the mind, you are not embodying your emotions. You can be easily manipulated. Because when somebody's giving you a deal, or whether it's a relationship or a business deal, I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. It may sound good to you, but when you are connected and embodying your emotions, you can hear what the other person is saying. That sounds good. But when you connect to your gut, it doesn't feel right. And you can make a decision from that standpoint where you are informed beyond just the words. So communication is bigger than what is being said, is who you being at every
Mhm.
moment.
Absolutely. Steve, let's get your take on that.
I guess uh, the 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 best example of how I feel about that, or how my emotions and my financial background mix together, is kind of in the coaching environment more so than the investment management environment. When you're talking to someone else who is either less experienced than you are, or less experienced in the approach that you take and is now trying to adopt it, and you hear them talking about it, and they'll say things that come from, let's say, what I would consider misunderstandings they have of the past. Like, they'll talk in terms of returns, because that's the thing you hear about, as opposed to realized returns. So, just concepts that they think they understand, but they don't. And yeah, I don't even have to get into what that was, but that's the type of time where I get more emotional, or I jump in a little harder, and I say, whoa, 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 time out now. Let's go back, and what do you really mean by what you just said? And why do you think that? And I'll try to get them to really go into it and think about it before I talk to them. Well, what you read in the book was kind of different than that, wasn't it? We were talking not in terms of the returns or the emotion of ups and downs. We were talking more of the gratification of seeing an income number go up from month to month to month. Not a lot, but enough. So that types of things. And the other place where it really comes into play for me, I have a Facebook group, and it's a discussion group, and they're discussing investing, an income focused investing approach. And most of them have come there from the other side, those other people who don't even worry about income. So all of a sudden, these people who are just starting it are having these really intimate and exciting conversations, and expressing themselves about this stuff. Some of it, and other people are listening to it. You can almost see them shaking their head, and they'll call back, "Hey, good." And I'll just sit back. I'll listen to a whole conversation sometimes, and it'll go on with 6, 10 people um, collaborating and participating in the discussion. And I'll just read it all in, and I'll say, "This is great. They're talking about stuff," and I'll have a selfish motive. They're talking about stuff that I taught them or I introduced them to, but they're really grasping it and feeling it. You can almost feel them come alive in it. So at the end of the discussion, I'll just write one comment: "Great discussion,"
Mm.
or something like that. I won't even participate. And I think that they know emotionally, when I don't participate and just say great discussion, that they've accomplished something, that
Yeah,
they
that's
understand
beautiful.
what you're talking about, and they are going in the right direction. Or
Love it.
I think they're going in the right direction, and that perhaps is important to them.
Absolutely. Nikki, I'd love to get your take on what we've been discussing. As I know that not only are you in business, and of course you're an exceptional trainer and coach, but what does this all mean to you?
Communication, so much. I think it's everything. And I want to speak more to getting information from our body, because our body has a lot to communicate to us. The mind could be so noisy. There could be so much mental chatter going on. And a lot of the thoughts are not even our own. They're thoughts that we have just adopted from other people. So, for example, this was back in 2019 when I was making the decision of resigning from my teaching career to step fully into my business. There was a lot of noise. There was a lot of, questioning and doubt around it. And then I dropped out of my head and into my body, and I tuned into my body, and I noticed this sense of calm in my solar plexus. And I said, I'm going to trust what my body is communicating to me. And that calm means that I'm going to be okay. So I stopped listening to the thoughts, since I was aware a lot of them are from other people that have just been playing on and on in the background. And I listened to the body. So that's what I was thinking about while we were all talking.
Nice, nice.
And how about you, Sifu?
Well, I love what you talked about, how you stop listening to the chatter, right? Because and you also talked about how a lot of the thoughts that we have, they may have been started because of someone else. Someone else may have put an idea in your head, and all of a sudden you're running with it, and it's not really something that aligns with who you are. So for me, it's always about communication. For me, is always about listening, and like you said, listening to your body. So a lot of times people go, why do you work out 7 days a week? But you're on vacation. Why are you working out? So people are always trying to question me, at the same time trying to tell me not to do what I do, because it's in their best interest to, you should relax. You should be okay. And why are you working out so much? And why are you working out so hard? And why are you doing all this? And why are you doing so many things? Why do you have 6 shows? Why do you, and it's
Yeah.
all this, everybody's attacking. They're doing it in a nice way. They don't mean to hurt me because they care about me. But if I listen to all that, I may say, you know what? I am doing too much. Maybe I should take it easy today. Maybe, but that's because now I'm starting to listen to everyone else. And I stop listening to the most important person in the world. And that is me. And so the message that I tell everybody is, listen to you, look in the mirror, and tell yourself, man, I love you. I love you so much, and you're doing great. Maybe you need to stop doing this so you can do this. Because sometimes, as always, we all know that no is a complete sentence, but so is yes. Yes is a complete sentence. Do you want to go to dinner? Yes. Are you going to eat that? No. So everything that we do is based on communication. How do we communicate with ourselves? And like Nikki said it beautifully, do we allow all the chatter to confuse us, to embody something that we really are not, but it's what the outside world wants? I'm not here to please the outside world. I'm going to be honest. I'm here to please one person, right? And that's whether you believe in God or not. But I do, and I believe that if I'm doing everything right and I can please Him, then I am doing the right thing. It may not align with other people, but guess what? I don't care. I don't care. It has to align with me, what
Absolutely.
matters to me. So communication is how we communicate with ourselves first. I think that's the first energy we have to put into that communication has to be with us, right? To
Yeah.
love us, to embody who we're meant to be. And so many people out there, I don't care how old you are, I've heard people in their 60s and so on. Oh, I don't know what my purpose is in life. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. We're with ourselves 24/7. We take ourselves everywhere we go. So, yeah, I would say that to make yourself a priority and be aware of the things that you say to yourself and to question everything, because a lot of the stuff that we take in, it is not for us. It is not meant for us. So question it and check in with your body to see how it feels. Does this feel aligned with me? Yes or no? And it is a complete sentence, Sifu.
Yeah, and listen, no matter where I go in the world, I was just in Miami. Guess who showed up? I did. I was there, right? And like Gal said, uh, be present wherever you are. Listen, if you're driving in the car and you're not present, you're going to have an accident.
Accident.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello. You need to be present. And what happens to the people who have accidents? They're texting, they're changing the radio, they're not paying attention, they're not present. So when you get behind a wheel, please be present, especially if I'm on the road too.
That's true. There is
Mhm.
something that I just want to just share because I loved what Steve said, and there's a word that he said when he said people are having intimate conversations, and for me that kind of like lit me up because especially when you're talking about, I'm big on talking about sexual energy, and it's quite interesting because sexual energy and money somehow they have that same energy of we love it, but at the same time we hate it, we want it, we don't want it. Without it we feel unworthy with it. Again, there is all this overwhelm and all that. There is love and hate that is happening with that. And when it comes to communication as well, especially that he said intimacy, I know it's one of the conversation that when it comes to relationships, people don't open up and talk about this like openly. They shy away from this conversation as much as they shy away from sex, and eventually the relationship suffers, whether it's because for me I believe sexual energy is connected to our, it's connected to money, it's connected to our purpose, it's connected to creativity, it's connected to the beauty, you know. So when you are not connected to yourself at that level, that is you being turned on by life, because I believe we are here to make love with life. When you are making love with life, you are following the inspiration that is coming from you and you are creating. And another thing with being present at the same time is you can't give birth to what you do not conceive. For you to give birth to something, whether it's a book, an idea, or whatever, you get to feel it. It has to come from you, you know. So that word, when he said intimacy, conversations about money, I was like, ooh, that's a beautiful thing right there, because that's what is lacking when it comes to relationships. We are not open when it comes to this. People tense up when they hear anything about money. This is why whatever people do is not working out. People tense up when you're talking about sex because of the shame that has been infused in money and also in the sexual energy. I just wanted to point out that.
Love it, love it. Because you're right. A lot of people, um, there's two things that people shy away from talking about. Is one is sex, and the other one's money, because money is evil, and so is sex. But when we think
Hate it.
about both of them, they make us unique. We should not refrain from talking about it. I mean, you also have to be in the right place when you're speaking about these things, right?
In the
I,
right
I think
company.
I think it's important, and to mix money and sex at the same time, that may cause some people some trouble, and some people have gotten in trouble with that. So we need to define what it is that we're looking, because no matter how long we live, it's still short.
This is the
It's
first
still short.
R-rated podcast I've ever been on.
You're welcome. But we need to define who we are by every aspect of our lives, because we are silly, we are serious, right? And we are stern, but we are unique in everything we do. But we don't allow our uniqueness to come out, because guess what? And you talked about it, Gal. Shame. Shame. Get rid of shame, right? Guess
Jeez.
what? If we were all blind, we wouldn't be able to judge each other by skin color. We wouldn't be able to. We'd only be able to judge each other by our words, and that's communication defined,
Yeah.
right? But by the actions we take, that also communicates who we are. Every day, make it an exceptional day, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Heck, later on today is not guaranteed.
That's right.
Let's make this moment great. And yes, Steve, this is probably one of the best shows you've been on.
It's interesting, that's for sure. You know, it's amazing how different, and that's another thing about conversations. The more you have them, the more you appreciate them, and you see how different they all are, and it's just worth doing. You know, so when you go into a room and there are people there, and start a conversation. You know, who knows what you're going to learn.
Exactly. There's
Engagement.
a lot of awareness to gain. I mean, even in this conversation, I was sitting here, and because we're talking about emotional embodiment and being mindful of the body, I love what Gal said about make love with life. And then Steve saying one of the habits of financially free people is their enthusiasm. And what if we just put it together and decided we were going to make love with life enthusiastically and feel comfortable talking about that? And it was a nice feeling to just, we could talk about sex and money and feel good about it. Heaven forbid, right? Let's start something new, right? And that's what we're doing here. We're bringing the conversation to the public. We're bringing awareness, and and speaking about questioning and everything. What if it were easy? What if it were fun? What if it were okay?
Yeah, absolutely. When you consider when you can bring faith into any conversation, and you don't have to be overly religious aspects of it, but when you can bring your own faith, when you can bring your own emotions into a conversation, then, as Gal said, and I know I'm messing up your name, and I'm so sorry. When we can bring our faith into a conversation, because now we're emotionally attached to that other person, and I think the conversations can go deeper. And I want to thank everybody today. This is a great conversation. We've actually should have ended our show a while ago, but you guys have kept me here, so thank you. If anybody's interested, I have another show in about 12 minutes. That one is called The Coaching Call. Come join me there. I will be there with another incredible human being. Every day, make it a great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.